Okay, cruise, gear up, flaps up. Throttles, we are at 20 and 23. Works. Mixture land is required. Cowl flaps closed.
You could probably go ahead and close them at this point.
Okay.
Yep, just pushing in on them.
Gauges check. Everything is nice and green. Gyros, we did set those already. Fuel selectors on main. And fuel pumps off one at a time. Cool, left one coming off.
We'll watch our pressure here.
And looks like the engine-driven fuel pumps are working. And then right one.
Traffic 3 kilo.
We're good to go.
And turn these guys down just a smidge.
Alrighty.
And just for frame of reference, probably sync that up just so it's right at the 0 and 5 there on the altimeter.
Sounds good to me. And we're going to do the simulated.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll run you through is, I'll say we're on a good heading here. We got some time on this heading. Okay. So, yeah, it looks to me like on your right engine here, you've got a really high oil temperature and really low oil pressure. So what would you do at this point?
Well, I could do a precautionary shutdown.
Okay, cool. So walk me through that.
All right.
Now, what each examiner is going to specifically do on your multi-engine check ride does vary, but here we're trying to just develop some of those thinking skills like, hey, if you see a low oil pressure condition associated with high oil temperature, you could expect that you might have an engine failure soon. Let's do a precautionary shutdown.
Well, clearing turns, we just did a 180. I didn't see anybody. I'll make a call on the radio. Hey, flats traffic from Comanche 6 Yankee Lima over the east end of the highway, 5,000 feet maneuvering. Hey, flats. All right, fuel pumps are both going to be on. So we're going to do airspeed, fuel pumps, main, engine instruments. Look good. We'll do a heading of about 0. Airspeed below 125, so we'll pull that back to about probably 15. See what that does.
Matt's referring to manifold pressure here, trying to set the manifold pressure on both engines somewhere between 13 to 15 inches to give them the appropriate speed to accomplish the precautionary shutdown. Now, it's probably a good time to take a little 60-second break and talk about the difference between using a checklist to do this maneuver versus a maneuver's guide. So looking at the ACS here, this is the governing document. This is what we're really training to. Yes, we are training to make you a safe multi-engine pilot, but the purpose of this course here online is to help you pass a check ride, and that's what most of your training is going to be dedicated to at the flight school. So, what does it actually say here under skills? That's the section that you're expected to do. Well, it doesn't specifically call out that you have to secure the engine per the POH. The problem is, the maneuver's guide that Matt follows here, well, it works just fine, and then he does use the POH procedure for actually going and unfeathering the engine and restarting it, which is what the ACS calls for. It's best to just work strictly from the POH and from that checklist. Now, the flip side of that is, your instructor is going to prepare you a certain way because that's how they prepared all their other students and what the DP expects. And just so happens that this maneuver's guide, which is not from the manufacturer, not from the POH, just invented by some CFI at the flight school, well, it's been used a lot with that DP and it happens to work. And so that's why you'll see some schools really push a maneuver's guide. Some schools push you just straight out of the checklist. They kind of know what that DP, what that particular examiner that you're going to go with is looking for. Most importantly, always reference it back to the ACS and always reference back any maneuver's guide back to the POH and make sure nothing is contradicting it, because the POH, any sort of manufacturer's guidance, is always going to be governing.
Bring it back to about 13. All right, there is 120. One engine to idle. So here we go.
So look at where your hand is. What number were you just grabbing? So just kind of feel them out. Round, kind of pointy on top, pointy all around.
2.
So yeah, we'll bring the right one back since it's giving us that high oil temperature and low oil pressure indication.
There we go. There's blue line and direction of control. 0 side slip. And ball.
The little piece of yarn there is actually verifying what 0 side slip really is, showing longitudinal flow of the air down the fuselage.
All right, and we'll go ahead and secure it.
All right. There's 0, blue line, and then right engine, Right mixture.
Yep.
Go and... Oh, that makes a big difference.
Makes a huge difference.
Wow. There's 0. Blue line, I'm going to trim that up so I don't have to use back pressure.
Cool. And then probably go ahead and bring up the power on the operating engine. And I'm going to go ahead and open up your left engine cowling since that's the operating engine.
A good common sense item, but something that was missing from that maneuvers guide, is to open the cowl flap on the operating engine since it's now working a lot harder, producing more heat.
And now look at that string for me. And try to center up that string if you can see it past that camera. I know that camera's in your way.
So I need a little bit blue line. We're actually climbing, so there's 5 degrees. Less.
Yeah, so the string's still pointing just a little bit to the right.
So I need a little bit more rudder? Nope, a little bit less rudder.
Actually, a little bit less, yeah. It works opposite from the ball. The string's opposite from the ball. Now you're centered up on the string.
Okay.
So that's our 0 side slip condition.
And we are...
And you can see it's not quite half ball either.
Nope.
And that's totally okay. So now let's go ahead and go through the restart procedure.
Okay, you want to do a...
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do a 180.
Okay.
Yep. And now, normally what I'd like to see here is you actually pull out the checklist, confirm that you did the shutdown correctly.
Okay.
But just for time's sake, before the engine gets too cool, let's go ahead and make that 180. And totally fine to turn towards the operating engine or away from it because we're at blue line.
Okay.
So no reason to turn one way or the other. We'll flip that 180 and then we'll go ahead and get this thing restarted.
Oh, that is super cool. Seeing that. Not in real life, it wouldn't be, but...
In real life, it'd be a bit of a bummer.
This is cool. We're actually...
we're climbing a little bit.
Couple hundred feet. And as far as... Is it kind of like slow flight where you don't want to get rid of some of that, a lot of that vertical lift and so nice gentle banks?
Absolutely, yep. You don't want to induce more drag by banking steeper.
Okay.
Now, I mean, if you were descending, you could make a 30-degree bank if you wanted to, but I really wouldn't. I mean, in a real-world scenario, yeah, 15-degree, 20 degrees of bank is all I'd really be using because I am nervous about how quickly that airspeed will deplete and you'll lose airspeed. I mean, obviously we're at 5,000 feet or 4,500 right now, but if we're coming in the pattern, I'm going to be really adamant about, wide patterns, maintaining energy in the airplane.
Okay.
Speed is key.
So work here?
Cool.
All right, mags on. They are mixture rich on that engine. Fuel selector to main tank. It already is. Electric fuel pump on. It is. Throttle 1/4. It is. Propeller to cruise. Right there or so. Starter engaged until prop windmills.
Alrighty.
There it goes.
It's thinking about it. And all I did there for you is I came back on the mixture.
Okay.
Just because we were giving it too much fuel.
Gotcha. After engine starts, oil, well, let's clean up the airplane first. So
Now, while the oil temperature is probably going to still be fairly high, the cylinder head temperatures are going to be pretty low. So don't be in a huge hurry to resync those engines. Wait just long enough to get those cylinder head temperatures back up to temperature before putting a load on that engine that just came alive. And most importantly, verify there is oil pressure before continuing to let it run. If you get it restarted and there's not oil pressure, go ahead and shut it down right away again.
Cool, and you're doing good, get them synced up. Keep remembering just occasionally glance outside.
Okay. Got. Go back up to 5,000 feet. Oil pressure looks good on that engine. Fuel pumps off. Do the left side first. Looks good. Right side. Looks good. Alternator on. Warm engine at 15 inches and 2,000. We're already warm on it.
Yeah, cylinder is pretty cool, but we'll keep them, at 20 inches. We won't go any more power on them for now, at least not on the right engine, just to give it time to warm back up there.
So all you did was pull that back a little bit to get the fuel air mixture.
Correct, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I bumped the throttle ever so slightly, probably so instead of a 1/4 inch open, it was almost almost to a 1/2 inch open. and then I started to come back on the mixture.
Okay.
Yep. Just with that throttle 1/4 inch open and the electric fuel pump on to make sure full ridge for, you know, the 5 seconds, the 6 seconds that it took, you know, for us to actually get the prop there and then hit the starter. It was dumping fuel, and so there's just a big gulp of fuel for it to kind of swallow down. And then I had opened up your left cowling flap there. So you could probably at this point, you could go ahead and run a cruise checklist, and that'll get you synced back up to where you need to be.
Cruise, gear up, flaps up, throttles 20, props 23. Mixture lane is required, leave them there, cowl flaps closed. Cool. And gauges, gyros, fuel selectors, main, fuel pumps where you have checked are off.
At the end of every maneuver, really for any check ride ever, but especially on a multi-engine check ride, make sure you're running a cruise checklist. It will prevent you from flying along with one cowl flap open and one closed, mixtures not where they need to be, fuel pumps left on or left off, or whatever it might be. It'll make sure you have the airplane configured correctly, save a lot of embarrassment, possibly even save your check ride. Clearing turns and cruise checklists are probably the 2 easiest ways to ensure that you will pass. For more videos like this one, and to be guaranteed to pass your check ride for your multi-engine add-on or your MEI, go ahead and check out the link in the description below that will take you to the online multi-engine/MEI course at flyatmikealpha.com to be guaranteed to pass any check ride, private instrument, commercial, CFI, II, any of that stuff. Go ahead and check out those courses online at flyatmikealpha.com. Full-length oral videos, check ride prep, flight training prep, everything you need to be successful, to pass on the first time and save a lot of time, and most importantly, save money on your flight training and save money on those check rides. If you have any questions on this or anything else flight training related, you guys know what to do. Leave your question in the comments below and we will get back to you. As always, guys, if you cannot fly every day, then fly at mikealpha.com and we'll see y'all in the next video.